Well, hey there, it's Catherine from CatherinePolar.com. In this video, we are going to be looking at the Deco Foil Metallix Gel. It's a great medium for stenciling and other techniques. It comes in a variety of colors, including the Champagne Mist, which I'm showing you here, the White Pearl, Pure Gold, Aged Copper, and Glazed Pewter. And what I love about this gel is, one, I love the consistency of it. It's just really creamy and really shiny and smooth, and it's really a dream to work with. I'm also going to use the Stencil Pal by Deco Foil. This is a new product to me, and I'm in love with it for stenciling and mediums. And then the Pixie Spray. Now, I was a little resistant to getting Pixie Spray. It is for your stencils. You spray it on the back, and then you let it dry, and it gives a tackiness to your stencil, and then it won't move around on your paper. Well, I was thinking, oh, it's going to get everything really sticky, and it's going to make my stencils tacky, and they're going to stick to each other, and I'm not going to like it. But I'll tell you, I like it a lot. It is a very low tack, and it works like a dream. So I think you guys are going to love it too. So to start out with, let's use the Glazed Pewter. I'm going to end up making a masculine card with this background here. I'm using the Scattered Circles die. I'm taking my little Nuvo spatula, and I'm adding the gel directly to the edge of the stencil pal. And you can see with just a few strokes, I have full coverage of the gel on my stencil. And then I'm just going to keep going over it a few times. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes, and I want it to be really nice and smooth and even. And then I can scoop off any of the excess and put it right back into my jar and save it for later. And then we're going to pull this up, and you can see the magic here. We now have a beautiful metallic shine and incredible dimension for this project. To finish off this card, I used the Wild About You stamp set and just die cut and stamped my trees, my little moon, and my deer, and added the sentiment on there. Pretty clean and simple card, but it really adds a pop with that gorgeous background. So let's take this up a notch and create a fun technique background. I'm doing a quick ink blended background here with Aquatini and Something Borrowed and my large life-changing blender brush. You notice I did not use a different brush or clean my brush in between. I'm not worried about these colors mixing together. They're both blue. I mean, the Aquatini is a blue-green, but they're not going to really contaminate each other. They're a similar shade as well, so I'm not too worried about that. And then I just wanted a fun, subtle color blended background, and I wasn't worried also about getting smooth blending, so I just wanted to lay down some color. And now I'm using the Square Dance stencil, and I'm doing some Aquatini ink blending over the stencil in the parts where I ink blended Aquatini, and then I'm doing Something Borrowed in the spots where I ink blended Something Borrowed. And then I want to do some more stenciling on top. So this is a multi-technique double stencil card. So I want to color my Metallix gel. So I'm using the White Pearl. I also have colored my Champagne Mist, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm using Fiesta Blue ink, and I'm just doing a couple drops on there and then mixing it well with my Nuvo spatula. I'm using my Flourish and Whimsy stencil, and that has the Pixie Spray on the back of it, so it's a light tack on there and it won't move around. And then I'm going to use the spatula to just get the gel all over that stencil, and then I'm going to use the stencil pal to smooth it all out, make sure I got all those nooks and crannies and a really nice flat, smooth stencil situation going on here. And then we'll peel it off, and you can see all this texture. I got the ink blending, the Square Dance stencil, and then that Deco Foil Metallix gel. So I have another technique piece that I did the same stenciling on there, but there was no ink blending and stenciling to begin with. And I just finished it off with a stitched square die with the sentiment on it and a Coral Cabana flower. If you're looking for supplies, you can link below in the description on YouTube, or if you're on my blog, I'll have them there as well. But I'll link to all of the supplies that I use in this video. So I have another ink blended background that I've already prepared, and it was the same as the first one with the Something Borrowed in Aquatini. And I wanted to see what it would look like with this gorgeous champagne mist stenciled over the top. So I'm just adding it over our Polka Heart stencil using the techniques that I've previously used in this video. We'll just peel that back, and I think it looks stunning. You can see how shiny that is, and it really looks shinier once it's dry. It really does look like foil. So just add a simple Love You die on the bottom there, and you have a gorgeous but pretty simple card. So for the next couple technique pieces, I'm going to do a little bit of playing. So I'm taking my champagne mist gel and I'm just adding it to the stencil, and then I'm dabbing on some of my ink refills, and I'm just going to blend right directly onto my Stencil Technique piece. So I'm using Samba and Tiki Torch and Tiara ink refills, and I'm just going to blend them back and forth and then use my stencil pal. And honestly, I did not the results I achieved here are not exactly what I was looking for. And I have tried this in the past with varying results. So the one great thing about this is don't be afraid to play, because part of this for me is the actual process of it. It's not always about what the end result looks like. It is just so much fun to play with these different mediums. And this still looks really great. I just was looking for a more like marbled looking colored background where it was different colors in different places. And it just blended a little bit too much for what I was going for this piece, but it still looks gorgeous. So this technique piece here, I was so smitten with this when I was done. I actually created this on a Facebook live stream, and I will link that below so you can see how it came about. But I adored the different variations in color, from the blue to the champagne to the pink tint. I just thought it came out really gorgeous. So I'm gonna actually make this into a card on this video. So I'm taking the champagne mist Metallix, and I'm spreading it on really thin, just onto a plain piece of white cardstock. So I was just gonna do the top and bottom here, but then I decided, I'm just gonna cover this whole sheet of paper. So what I'm gonna end up with is a smooth metallic finish that looks like it was foiled. The application was really, really easy. And look what I'm left with, a gorgeous piece of champagne mist cardstock, really. It has a gorgeous sheen and a real nice pearlescent look. So I ended up cutting a little bit off the top and bottom. I was going for like the smoothest part of this piece of cardstock now, so that I could do it as a layer behind my main technique piece. And then out of the center, I die cut Create. So now I have a die cut that has this gorgeous champagne mist. You know, how many times have I said gorgeous in this video? I don't know. But this Metallix gel, I'm a fan. It's really a lot of fun to play with, and it gives you such a great result. So I adhered my foil looking cardstock now to the top and bottom here, and then I'm just going to add my technique piece in the middle. And then my sentiment, I didn't want it to get lost on the top of my technique piece, but I didn't want to add another layer and take away from the technique piece. So I thought this was a perfect time to pull out some of my vellum cardstock. So I just did a small little strip that will go across the front here. And then I'm trying to add the adhesive to just under where the Create is. I did have to end up adding a little bit to the edges so that it wouldn't curl up, but I just did a really tiny bit so that it wouldn't show through the vellum. Also added some Vegas Baby sequins. You can see those sparkling in the light there, and I think this is a really fun look, and it was a really fun card to create. Next up, we're going to try some white pearl with the split chevron stencil. So I'm just adding it to my stencil pal, and I'm just going straight to my stencil with the stencil pal. You can either use a spatula and add it, or go straight from the stencil pal. Either way works. I love using different types of tools, so I kind of just went back and forth with the different technique pieces that I'm creating in this video. And here is the resulting white pearl sheen stenciled technique piece. Tons of different ways you can finish this off, but let's add some color. So you may be tempted to do white on white, just to add a sentiment die, a pop of color with a flower, and that would be fantastic and gorgeous. I wanted to add some color and see how the Metallix gel held up and worked with ink. I was wondering if it would act as a resist, and stay white, but it actually did take on some of the color from my various ink colors, which is fine. I just wasn't sure which way it was going to go. And it doesn't get as dark as the cardstock does, so it does resist the ink a little bit, but it does take on some of that color. So I'm using Orange Twist, Be Mine, Tiara, Aquatini. These are all party colors. They're vibrant, fun shades of color, and so this is going to be a really fun card when I finish it up. Oh yeah, and I'm adding some Something Borrowed at the bottom for a gorgeous blue. Gotta have a rainbow. For this card, I used different life-changing blender brushes for the different colors because I didn't want my orange to muddy into the blue, so I just used fresh brushes. And then I'm just going to go back and forth a few times just to get a nice blend between my colors. Now, I finished off this card on a YouTube Live, and I will link to it in the description so you guys can go check it out. But I thought it was a fantastic backdrop for this fun little shaker card. I'm all about having fun and playing and creating and experimenting, so that's what I did with this card here. I started out with the same background, just the metallics with our triangle stencil, and I just did direct to paper with Tiara, Be Mine, and Aquatini, and I used watercolor cardstock on this card because I knew I was going to add a lot of water to it. So I'm going to continue playing here with adding direct to paper color right to my project, spraying it with water, turning it so that gravity helps that color kind of move around. And I also really like how the color will settle in between the nooks and crannies of the stencil design. And I just really love watching the colors kind of blend together and create fun blends of color. So this is one technique piece that I actually have not made into a card yet. So do you guys have any suggestions for me? Well, how do you think I should finish this off? I'm looking for some ideas. So leave a comment and let me know. You can see that now that I'm done, my cardstock is very wet, and just a reminder that regular cardstock will not be able to handle this much water, so definitely use watercolor cardstock when adding so much water. But I think it ended up being a really beautiful piece. It was really fun to do, as all the pieces in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you enjoyed this look at the metallics. They are in our shop now. Let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate you being here. Have an awesome day.